tonight, y'all, man, we got a special guest tonight, man. It's our dear friend. He's been on the show before. This comedian dude, he was the host of the Showtime with Apollo. He was on the radio, the #2 radio station in Dallas, Texas. This is my dear friend for over 20-some years. I guess I just told our age. Shit, is it 20? Yeah, we're going to 20 or almost 30 goddamn some years now. This is my boy from back in the day. My man, Rudy Rush.
Yo, what's good, fellas? What's going on?
What up, Rudy? What up, Rudy?
Rudy, you in the bathroom?
Where are you in the shower?
No, I'm in the studio. You know when you got when you got some juice, you got your own little setup. You know what I mean? So
what's up, Rudy? How you doing?
I'm good, fellas. I'm still trying to get over the fact that D was blowing his nose during the show. I said, yo,
I can't shake this goddamn cold, man.
I ain't been on the show in a minute. I said, y'all really testing the boundaries.
Yo, live TV for real, man.
He did a granddaddy sneeze. He was all in it too. Hey, let me get another box of them tissues. Hey, yo,
what up?
But I'm sorry, hold on, let me go for 2 seconds. Then I love the crew because y'all was looking at him like, yo, D, for real?
Yeah.
Like, ain't nobody mentioning it or nothing.
Man, yo, my nose, man. This is my nose keeps running, man. Yo, Rudy, why your teeth look African teeth white?
I don't know. Oh, we gonna do that tonight.
You got the fucking African sticks brushing that shit extra white.
I heard what you said about the Jamaican women, bro. You can't travel back there at all.
Yeah, he done.
You can't go to Jamaica, Queens no more.
Yo, the ugliest strippers ever seen in my life, man.
Wow.
By far.
He's still saying it.
They are the ugliest. Yeah. No. I'm sorry. Antigua might be up there.
Oh, he's gonna add on to it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna expand the continents. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But Rudy, you haven't seen the stuff that this guy says and do on the show, man.
I speak to him almost once a week, so I already know he's off the rails with it.
Yeah.
Who's living with their baby mama? Who's living with their ex-wife? I heard that part. That's what I came in on.
That was none of us. No, I could never do it.
I can't live with none of my exes. If I did, everything would taste funny to them. They'd be like, "That's how it's cooked. That's how it's cooked." Swallow it all. Poison your ass.
Man, Rudy, man. So listen, Rudy, man, it's Black History Month, man. We want to get your perspective on Black comedians and the history of comedians and Black Black History Month, all the Black comedians, and how much we played to the game. Because I don't think nobody's funnier than Black folks in the world, man.
No, I agree. I mean, being a Black comedian, I'm going to say that we just bring a different flair, almost like the food. Like white people make good food, but Black people just go in when it comes to food. And I think the same thing applies to comedy because we require so much from each other. Like on a Black show, you got to be funny. I make sure my first joke is funny so I can establish somewhat of a beachfront, meaning like it's a security blanket to establish. You got to establish with Black folks you funny. White people, you could talk and then 15 minutes in, like, oh, this guy's hilarious. This guy's really got something. Like they give you a minute to build. Black audiences, they don't do that, so that doesn't mean that Black comics are funny. It's just the criteria is different, which means sometimes when you put us on shows together, it doesn't match up. And Black guys, they use so much energy that we tend to seem like we're funnier. And I will say that I think a lot of our jokes, because we can relate to them, are funnier to us.
So it's different. So when you work a white crowd, is a different kind of, you teeter your show a little bit or what?
So I'm about to put it out there. I'm one of the best. So I'm one of the few comics, Black and white. I do both. So my jokes come from a Black perspective. I don't, I have white friends, but I never lived in a white world other than corporate America. And so my jokes are just so relatable with relationships and with the Black stuff. Like I talk about roaches, but white people get it. But some comics say things like lace fronts, and there's certain terminology that like white people just don't get. And I'm different than that. So I do really well with both crowds. I mean, I kill it with both.
Good. Because as soon as you say roaches, Black people are going to relate.
Yeah. But you know what white people do too, because they be like, yeah, I put them in there too. I used to own the building. That's what that man
Oh man, rude. So Black History Month, like who was your top like to you comedians of all time? If you get like that, or you would love to see which was still around.
You know, my favorite
of all, tour with. Who would you love to go on tour with too?
Oh my gosh! So there's two guys, Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, and it may be because I came up during that era. But even to this day, when you look back at when people talk about the GOAT, you know, like the movies now, movies cost like $25 to get in there. So when they say the box office is 18 million, well, guess what? Back in the days, it was $5 to get in there if you did side by side. So I think if Eddie Murphy had went on a world tour like Kevin, he would have done a million times more just because he was just that good in everything, acting, stand up, television, everything he did. Even he put out a song on some Jamie Foxx stuff, even though he clowned at Party All the Time, was like a hit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was popular. It was just what he embodied, and he had everybody going to school the next day reciting his you know, all his monologues and his jokes. Goonie Google. Like some people, you can't remember any of their jokes. You know they're funny, but some comics today,
Phase on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't remember many jokes, like, you know, and that's one thing I love about, and I'm sorry to keep going back on myself, but when people leave my show, they'll repeat something I said, like, yo, man, that blanket joint was crazy, or the Thundercat chick with the, like, I love that stuff because that's the stuff people take and carry. So Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, because of the Martin show and the fact that when he hosted Def Jam, he was really the host that Black America needed. Comics needed him because he was just so fluid and so funny. It was just a great experience. People actually, to this day, I don't know if anybody stayed. Remember, we all stayed at home until after 12 o'clock, and then we went out after Def Jam. Def Jam was coming on at 12 o'clock, and we stayed in the house, and then we went to Bentley's. Then we went to the club. Right. Martin had us sitting there waiting and watching. So I've never seen anything like those two gentlemen before, and I've got some colleagues that are funny as hell. I'll go pay to see him, and you know, if we know somebody in town, we'll go see him. But to that extent, I don't think anybody, and I love Richard Pryor, but I had to go back and look. Rich was dope for the fact that he told the truth, and he was really funny. He got some of the funniest jokes. But for me, Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence.
So do you feel that the comedians get the same respect as white comedians in the history?
No.
History of comedy?
Hell no. But we do get a lot more opportunities. Like, I feel like we've carved a niche. It's almost like that soul food. They gave us the scraps, and we took it and we made these cuisines that are you know, delicacies around the world, meaning that there's not too many places where white comedians can make a living like Black comedians have because of Def Jam, because of how we support each other to a small degree. Now, when it gets to a larger level of stuff, there are some comics that, you know, that in my opinion are doing really well on the white side. They, you know, it's just like music. You see somebody got a one-hit wonder. How you living in that mansion in Beverly Hills and you got one hit? And my man put out 5 albums. Nigga Keith Sweat put out 8 albums. Nigga still in Harlem.
You know, Rudy, let me say this, and I know this is gonna sound like a strange comparison. My father was an electrician, and I'd watch him work all day, and then afterwards they put the walls back together, and nobody would see my father's work. They just flick the light on, and that'd be it. I think about you guys. I think people don't know what it takes to do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20. Like, I think people have no idea. Especially the better you are, the easier you make it look. Does it seem like comedians really, people just don't think? That's why people try their hand at it, because they don't really know the work it takes to do this.
Yeah, you know, I learned not necessarily the hard way, but one thing I will say, Kay, is that I learned from being on stage and thinking about the things me and my best friend in high school, yo, we had some of the funniest experiences. We had this little thing we called pumpernickel bread we used to talk about. And it's as stupid as it sounds, it would sound even more stupid if I said it on stage. But we was crying tears. And so I just learned that you could be funny off stage with your friends and be cool, but comedy is a different animal. It's a different mathematics. You can't really, you know, quantify like funny off stage and on stage. And that's why sometimes even with T.I. or some guys in the NBA, they are the funny guys in the locker room or on the tour bus or on the planes. And then they feel like, yo, you should do that. You should take that to the stage. And that's where they get that confidence because they've always had a captive audience.
Right. They had a bunch of yes men around them, just making them think they're funny.
Or not necessarily that. Like you guys, who's the funny dude in this crew?
I think
you said who's the good-looking guy here? I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, never mind. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
like
sorry.
somebody would like somebody.
I'm sorry.
Somebody.
I think that's answered. He just answered that right there.
No, but sometimes somebody will watch this show. Somebody at some college or some some corporate place, and they'll watch you guys, and they'll be like, "Yo, that dude D, they'll call you D and be like, "Yo, would you like to come and do 15 minutes?" And then they show you the check, and you be like, "Yo, I'm a comedian now," because that's how a lot of it happens.
Let me ask you: have you ever seen someone have to get humbled? And I think I watched you on another show. I think the show with Godfrey and the other comic, and I think one of you were making a point that somebody will have their family or somebody to support you for a few shows. Then when the training wheels are taken off, and that support is not there, that audience doesn't care who you are; they're ready to go in. Have you ever seen somebody have to get humbled because they thought they mastered this in about a month or so, and then reality set in?
Listen, I've been humbled before early in my career, thank goodness, but I've seen some of the heavy ones like Patrice O'Neal, Red Grant, a few others, because I was the host of the Apollo, and I also did warm-ups 3 years prior to becoming the host. I saw a bunch of comics come in and get served by that Apollo crowd, and it's a really humbling experience because a lot of most of all those comics weren't there for the amateur night. They were there as special guests. They supposed to be funny, and they were established at the time. So yeah, I've seen comics like Tiffany Haddish, JB Smoove, some of the best of them really take one because they maybe misjudged the room. Charlie Murphy, rest in peace. He took a bad one at a school where I got a standing note a year before because he was just coming in to his stand-up prowess. So it happens, and it happens really quick for people who think like this is an easy cakewalk. I love watching those.
D, you remember when we went to that outdoor comedy thing, and that guy was so bad he walked off the stage?
We was at Lindenwood, Rudy.
Lindenwood Diner. They're doing it outside because of
COVID. The room. We're doing COVID. We was in the car doing that shit.
Yeah. Rudy, I'm gonna break it down for you. See, the thing is, we were all in our cars in a parking lot, and the stage was in front of the diner, right? So you're not hearing the laughter of people in the car, right? So basically, you're telling a joke, and you're still hearing silence. So that probably threw this dude off, and all of a sudden, my man dropped the mic and just walked off, and everything just went dead. And Ray Jean had to come running out to try to save the show, right?
Yeah. That was hilarious, man.
Weren't y'all supposed to honk the horns if it's funny?
Yeah,
yo, dude, we was at Lindenwood Diner. Most people's horns didn't work. You know what I'm saying?
Look, see, you about to get booked next week. Somebody go.
Rudy, let me ask you a question.
Lindenwood Diner though.
When I've been working in ministry for 30 years, so I've had to stand in front of crowds and people, but it's churches, congregations, it's different. Yeah. And when I see someone young that's starting in ministry, especially when it comes to preaching, when they get nervous, the first thing they do is they speed up. They speed up. They're trying to get through it. And so when someone is in a situation in comedy, if you're talking to a young comic and they're nose diving, what should they do? Do they walk off the stage? Do they try to? Because I guess some audiences won't let you back up. So what do? Or does it vary?
Well, I like to pull young cats to the side because it happened for me. I remember one time, and I can count on my hands the bad shows that I've had, but I had a real bad show one night in Brooklyn years ago. And I was super young. I was 20, 21, and another comedian, Drew Frazier, was there, and he was more seasoned than I was. I think he was maybe like 10 years older than me, been in the game for a while. And I was ready to go. I was ready to get out of there. And he was like, yo, don't ever do that. Get off stage like a pro. Get off stage and just congregate with the people because they don't know that you messed up that bad. They're not even going to remember that you had that bad of a night. And sometimes people do remember it, even when you get better. They're like, yo, that's the dude we booed. but for the most part, he just helped me carry myself like a professional. And I never thought I would fail again. And I really kind of didn't since then because I always felt like I had the confidence level. Like I'm here for a reason. So I would tell a young dude, take it easy, take a deep breath. I would give them some pointers here and there. Tell them to establish themselves like I do sometimes if they don't have a place to go. So I just try to help out in that way because a lot of comics helped me. They were I was very fortunate to have comics who actually looked out for me.
Yo, Rudy, let me ask you something. The theme of Black History Month. If Martin Luther King was around now and saw the jokes that a lot of comedians are doing right now, Do you think he say, "I realize my dream is true," or turn to a nightmare? What would you think Martin would say right now?
He'd be like, Coretta, get your ass up. This is some bullshit. What the hell happened when I was sleeping? They're telling jokes about baby mamas and taking off this PPP loan. Goodness gracious. No, you know, I think I think even back then when he was doing speeches and traveling and doing things for civil rights, there was some smoke screeny kind of stuff then, which still exists now. I think we as people have come a very far, even as you guys talked about in the Juwan Howard piece, you know, with his indiscretion hitting the other coach. But like you said, you know, we joke about it, but really, maybe 20 years ago, a black dude hitting a white dude on TV, he would have been out of there. But I think with the money involved with Jordan and he are really good friends, Jordan Brand is with the school. They kind of broke it down as to why he probably wasn't in normal cases because of his profile wasn't fired. But yeah, I do feel like, you know, Martin Luther King, there's some great strides that have been made, especially with comics being able to voice their opinion. Dave Chappelle is a shining example of fighting the system and pretty much winning. So I think he would be proud of that.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to know, and this probably, I hope I asked this the right way. When I think of female comedians and female rappers, I feel like a lot of them are either pushed or feel a need to kind of be a little more raunchy. I used to see that, especially during like the Def Jam days or comedy. It just seemed like the female, I don't know if that was done intentionally to try to get noticed in a field that's dominated by men. But have you seen that, or am I perceiving that wrong? Because I used to see a lot of females, it was almost like the thing is to have the courage to go out here and just go hard for the audacity.
Yeah,
you know, versus just some of the clever stuff like that. And I hope that doesn't sound disrespectful to females. Comics.
I'm gonna try to break it down the best I can. As we think about comedy is a sophomoric, silly genre. It means like everything, even death, you could take light of. You know what I mean? Right. And women don't have that component in them necessarily. Normally, they're nurturers. They'll tell you to stop playing. I've never heard some dude like, come on, stop playing. Everything's not funny. Guys be like, yo, that was crazy. You know what I mean? So that's what people don't. They don't put that mathematics in it when they think about it, because that's why women are not received as funny, because really comedy is a male dominated situation. Like we always clowning. I mean, you could walk in and see a dirty bathroom and be like, yo, everything is funny. Your kid could fall down the stairs, even though you dying inside. You like, damn, that was funny. Like women don't see things funny. So when you flip it and they're the ones telling the jokes, it's almost like we don't believe it. Like, really? So they got to go hard like we do to really like grab people's attention. And one of the best people I've seen do it without being so raunchy, but they were in the beginning because they had to fit in and get in, is someone like Samore and Monique and them. But Samore is someone who can hang with the guys, man. She's one of those girls that you could pick up on your team the first and second, and she's gonna bust a dude behind on the court because she put in the work.
No, you and Samore did work at I want to saw you at Caroline. I haven't seen comedy in a long. Well, I told Rod, but to be inside a room, that was dope. Samore, if anybody gets to see Samore and my man Rudy and Tom, please go out. Samore,
we put a good show on. Yeah, it was good.
Rudy, what makes a good room?
Oh, you know what? What makes a good room is just, you know, like when the best room for me is when people come in on time and they ready. Like they got their drinks, they're already halfway through their food. You know what I mean? It's like it's not a lot of orders being taken, so people got their drinks and everything, and it's just a buzz. It's like maybe a late show on a Friday, or the first show on Saturday. Those shows be super, and the last show on Saturday too, because people don't have to work the next day. But it makes for a great joke. Couples, diversity, like you really want to be able to touch a lot of people, just have a lot of energy. You don't want to be in no banquet hall or someplace where they was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do comedy here tonight. Comedy club, packed, everybody ready. That's the best go time.
Right.
Intimate. Yeah.
Rudy, I'm gonna piggyback off Kelvin's question. You ever did a show, walked on, thought the crowd felt right, and everything went wrong?
Yeah. So it happens not often, but like I would say just as recent as, where was I? I was in Philly, and for whatever reason I couldn't see past the second row. It was totally dark, and I didn't go look at the room, which I normally do before the show. But we got in late, so I had to go right on stage, and it felt like nobody. I felt like nobody was laughing. So I had to like kick it up a notch, and then I started hearing a couple of chuckles from the back. So I was like, I really wasn't laughing back then, So I just had to adjust because the energy I came out with, maybe I should have came out with a different type of energy. I just felt funny, almost like that dude at Linden Diner. He couldn't hear the laughter. I couldn't feel the people. And normally I could because I walk out there, I walk through the crowd real quick. So yeah, that was a time that just happened recently. So yeah, you just got to adjust. You got to take a deep breath and don't panic because you could really panic quick and then it'll go downhill from there.
Hey, Jamie, can you go to some of the comments, man? Just want to make sure we get some of the people in the chat. We said, B. Brad, what up, bro?
BT is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Really get your ass up.
What's him say right there? What's him say right there?
Yeah, I believe the comedian's name is was Poetic Justice. Yeah, he kicked on one night at the Boston, and he killed one night at the Boston and never heard from him again.
Yeah, so yeah, that dude, he's still around, but I don't think he's doing comedy. And that's another thing people need to understand. Comedy is a game of patience. People think that Kevin Hart just made it. People think that Dave Chappelle just got rich. You know what I'm saying? Or they've been rich. Them dudes been struggling, going hard for 15, 20 years before they reach the pinnacle of where they are right now. So if you don't have the patience for that, just imagine if you 4 to 5 to 10 tiers down and you got something special, but you ain't got the patience because you got a construction job or you doing something else that's really paying your bills. And Poetic, to his point, that gentleman who just hit us up, he was grown when he started. So he was a grown man with us. He was like 30 something, 40. And we was like, where you going? I got kids. I got to be,
Yo, Rudy, let me ask you something. Like, y'all speaking on female comedians. Do you think that they get a harder time to get on, like to the companies like the Netflix, the Amazons, than the white female comedians?
No, I don't think so. I think they gave Tiffany a nice little bag. I think that whole Monique situation, there is a lot of, discrepancies about people and what they get paid and stuff. I don't think Amy Schumer's funnier than Monique at all.
Nah, not at all.
I just felt like Monique at that particular time, her circumstances didn't warrant them to pursue her because at the time, if you think about it, Lee Daniels was impressed by your man yet. Dame Dash, when Dame Dash pressed him, that gave Monique a lot of flack off of her because they was like, yeah, they are kind of shady and shisty, and they do kind of do backhanded stuff. So that kind of freed her up. But before that, she had the situation with Netflix. Netflix was like, yo, you haven't been on tour since she got blackballed from Pressure. She kind of fell, and it was like 4 or 5 years later, like you're not doing nothing. It's not so much that you ain't worth it. It's like what are you doing?
So what have you done for me lately? Type situation. She's not
Yeah.
been popping here. She has been popping for a little while.
Yeah.
Rudy,
Do you have any thoughts on this T.I. thing? He just did something in Atlanta, and and there was a little thing with him and Godfrey, so to speak. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got some thoughts on that. Look,
go ahead, Rudy, get him.
It's great. So I was on the live with Ali Sadiq, who's another comedian, and Godfrey. So Godfrey, who was there, we were talking from that perspective, and then and I'm gonna put this out. I don't know where this is gonna go viral, whatever, but I had a conversation with Ali today. And so basically, we had a small little issue with Godfrey's point of view and what T.I. said happened, because at first we thought it was just blatant disrespect. He just came on and was like, yo, F that, I'm going on and blah, 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 which is pretty much what he did a little bit. But, Godfrey made it seem like he came through there and then he didn't say nothing to him and they didn't speak. And that's why, whatchamacallit thought it was disrespectful. And so what it found out was that he waited for T.I. to get off. They took pictures, they dapped it up. So he was like, the whole conversation afterwards, why you ain't have it with me there?
Right.
That's where T.I. was coming from. So T.I. was still wrong for going on, in my opinion, because when I'm done, it's supposed to be over. But don't wait afterwards and not address it. Be like, yo, man, next time chill out. Or when they say, because I heard they asked Godfrey, and Godfrey was like, go ahead. Sometimes you got to speak up and be like, nah, let's chill on that. Because trust me, them rap motherfuckers, they'll tell you,
that's a comedian. Yeah, that's a comedian. The same.
They'll tell you corny. to your face.
Right. Exactly.
I did see the video with you guys. I kind of agree with Godfrey about certain things where if Godfrey tried to be a rapper or a thug, then the first thing they would do would be condemning Godfrey for doing that. You know what I'm saying? Right. But you just going to walk on the stage and basically be a comedian in one night. You know what I'm saying? And he's not going to power it.
I love it. I love it. Because
I will say this. Let me just finish this thought. I will say this. Godfrey should have stayed there and watched him and gathered new material from him.
Now he could have done that, but and that was the other thing that I didn't like was the obligation that people were putting on him that he had to watch T.I. Watch him do what?
Yeah, watch him do what. But like I said, just get some new material off his ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. People always say that. You know, that's one thing comics hate is being in situations where people think that they're gonna get new material from it. It's just a waste of his 15-20 minutes to watch this dude say 18 big words and be done. I pacificate and quantify that this expeditiously. I'm like, man.
Well, see, you know what, Rudy? I'm gonna tell you something. First of all, I think T.I. a lot of times will misspeak about things. Like, for instance, this idea like, I'm not a comedian, I'm a superstar. There are comedians that are superstars, first of all. That's the other thing. The other thing is that this is something I resent. And I hate this there's one comedian that's on the circuit, he does it a lot. I don't tell jokes, I just talk about my life. I don't want to hear about your life. I want to hear it in the context of jokes. That's what it is. In other words, I get to talk about my life, and some stuff in my life is funny, but that's not what it comes. You know what I'm saying? What I give you guys credit for is this. When I used to go like to the Laugh Lounge in Manhattan and stuff like that, I would see these guys outside before a show. And they sitting there looking like, you know, they tired or they at work or whatever. When that red light comes on, something happens and just the comic comes out of you. To me, that's the comedian. I don't care what's going on in your personal life. I don't care if you're having a bad day. When you get on that stage, you entertain those people on cue. And that's what the rest of us can't do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I agree. So like, you know, like I would have watched because I want to see the train wreck. like after I finish, I want to see what the hell you gonna do. I'll see what you gonna pull out your bag. You gonna have to do a song, nigga. After I finish.
Right. Yo, I will add to you, Kelvin. The thing is, like, when the light turns on, a lot of comedians have to go. But I will pay Rudy a compliment. I've been on the phone and FaceTime with Rudy, with me and D and him. And he's still funny. He's always funny. Just every conversation. No, he's always being a comedian. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, like, he's constantly in his craft all the time. Right. And that's why I say, yo, Rudy is tight with his shit. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the word.
He's always in craft, you know?
People don't recognize it as a craft. To me, the way I see it is, and I have a lot of respect for comedians. The way I see it is that stage is sacred. So they don't like, and I can't speak for you, Rudy, but I think comedians don't like that you come up here like this as a hobby, either be in it or not. And I think you made a point, like, if you're not going to be serious about it, then go to an open mic. Then go to something where people are amateurs. But if you're going to get on a bill with professional, seasoned comedians, you really didn't earn that right. No. You know what I mean? You're the Jake Paul of comedy. Like, you're just creating a platform for yourself to get in it. And I don't think that's right. To me, to get there, there's a lot of people that have paid a lot of money to come and see these professional comics, and you get on stage because you're a superstar in your estimation, by the way. I mean the reality, because for me, Michael Jackson is a superstar. Beyonce is a superstar. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you all right, bro.
We use some of this a little loosely, you know what I'm saying?
We let you get away with that King of the South. We let you get away with the King of the South.
Right.
Stop pushing it.
Look at Brad Rowe right there, man.
He said Rudy's underrated.
But let me tell you,
look at Brad Rowe for you, right? Look at Brad Rowe for you, Rudy.
Check him out. Rudy's underrated. That water pressure joke was hilarious.
My man, I'm telling you, that's real. And that's what people, I'm telling you, that's what people love. That when I say certain things, like I got a joke about my homeboy putting a blanket on me, and I'm like,
that shit is hilarious.
And women be like, hilarious. What? That's nice. And dudes be like, where the fuck that blanket come from, bro? Like, it's just you and your man in the house. And it's funny, Rod, you said it because I hang out with comics now, like Bill Bellamy. One of the, he's a famous, iconic dude, and so is Bill Burr, and there's a black dude and a white dude. And one thing I like about when I hang out with them, we're always sharing and always creating. Even when we go to lunch, when we go to dinner, write that down, or we watch each other's sets, and it's always a build. You know what I mean? We get some of the funniest jokes just by chilling out. And I used to think like, damn, we getting up and going to breakfast or we going to it. But it's always a time for comics who have great minds to get together and do that kind of stuff. And them dudes don't know that. They don't know what it takes to really be a really good comic. Samoa's another one.
Yeah, Rudy, I want to ask you something. Like you saw what's my man name? That did joined the two brothers, the muscle dudes. I want to talk about like the guy that got the Amazon special night right now. What's my boy name? The two brothers, the one that's Diesel, the one that's and the other one, Guy Tori.
Oh.
So, so I was like, who the hell is he?
Joe Tori, and Guy Tori.
Yeah, so Guy Tori, like they had the West Coast scene. I want people to understand how the Boston Comedy Club was in the '90s, man. Do you think we could get? Do you think we could even come up with? Well, I don't think it's going to be as big as that, but
no, it would be bigger. Let me tell you why it would be. Absolutely.
So?
Let me just say this:
the reason, a little perspective of the '90s.
Yeah, the reason why it would be bigger, I wouldn't focus on just the Sunday night, but I would focus on what took place Sunday night and what took place around the corner at the Comedy Cellar. All of the people from Chappelle, from Bill Burr, from Talent, from Will, Kevin Hart, myself. I mean, there's a plethora. It was a mixing pot of black and white comics going back and forth in that village area. Plus, you had music artists like Jill Scott, because you had the Blue Note down the street. So you had some people cut. It was unbelievable. Wanda Sykes, everybody, you name them in comedy, they were in that era during that time, and it was unbelievable just to walk in that 4-block radius near West 4th Street, and it was unbelievable. I mean, everybody was out there. It was crazy. It was a great time. Yeah, it was even bigger. It was a bigger time for comedy in that time. More names were made on that particular area in that time than no disrespect though to the Fat Comedy joint, because I was a part of that era too, but I wasn't on the special.
You know, let me ask you a question. Back in the day, I look at the platforms like Comic View and Def Comedy Jam. We talk about the people from Def Comedy Jam that really, really blew up, from Bernie Mac to Chris Tucker. There's a lot of guys on there and ladies on there who I don't know that they're still doing comedy. It seems like it's almost like when people started making the jump from high school to the NBA, people think about Kobe and Garnett, but there's a lot of people that it just didn't do it for. So some people look like they got on TV, but it looks like a lot of them are not around anymore. Is that fair to say that people got caught up in kind of the publicity at the moment, but didn't stay with it because they just couldn't maintain it?
So what I would say, Kay, is the fact that a lot of them you just don't see. Now, they're just like anything else, you know, basketball and sports and even corporate America, when you a CEO, like sometimes they need to do a study and see how long you get to keep that job, because it's like, you know, the life of a comic could be 25, 30 years if you push it, but it could also be 10 years. And then you realize I'm not so good at that. But then you have a lot of those comics who you saw early on, they're writers, they're showrunners, they develop all of these different programming and stuff like that, or they went to voiceovers and commercials. So they're doing all different types of things. And some, like you said, they bow out and they just kind of either manage or run a club. There's so many different things that comics do. So yeah, so some of that you don't see, they're still in the game, but not at the level that, you know, seeing them on their face on TV all the time.
Yo, Rudy, actually you look like you sitting on the toilet for real though, bro, and somebody keeps walking by.
Hey, that's the lady who runs the studio thing here. So.
Tell her we said hi.
Look, I should have had the camera like this.
No, put it back. Yo, Rudy, man. You look like you got no tissue.
It's hot in this damn box.
Go ahead, D. I'm sorry.
No. So, Rudy, you got a podcast, right? Can you tell people about your podcast?
Yeah. So, you know, during the COVID, everybody started scrambling and doing different things. And this actually came once things opened up. A gentleman approached me. We worked at ABC Radio together when I was working on a Doug Banks show. And he actually started a media company. And he had a few podcasts under his belt and was like, yo, I always wanted to work with you. So, you know, how did you feel about doing a podcast? I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind it, but it has to be something that is a little different than the norm. Everybody's, you know, I don't want to be up there joking with comedians all the time. I love to have a comedian on and talk about some past history and this and that, but mostly, you know, let's talk about, you know, the journey And so we came up with the name You Can't Rush Success with my name in it, which was great, you know. And
that name is dope, Rudy. That name is dope.
Yeah, so it just kind of goes with people just like yourselves. It's just like, you know, I started off as a comedian, got into radio, did some other literary stuff. So we have people on there who are not just entertainers. You have some corporate people, some chefs, just kind of people finding the pivot. My man Sean C., who's a huge promoter, huge production guy. He's a producer. He actually started out, he was working in the mailroom when he had that beat that he gave Jay-Z, You Can't Knock the Hustle, on that first album. And they grabbed him and was like, yo, keep your ass out the mailroom. And now he's one of the biggest producers, you know, that you maybe never heard of. We lived on the same floor, but he went through his trials and tribulations being a single father. So I just wanted people to hear that, because sometimes you don't know, at 40, you still got a ways to probably go. It ain't over for you. You could be famous, or you could be successful at 50. You could be successful at 25, but you just got to understand and pay attention to things. So if you hear other people's story, it may give you some understanding of where you're going and where you could be headed. So that's the crux of what we do on You Can't Rush Success, and it's been very successful. We had some really cool people.
I want Jamie to play a little clip from the podcast. Jamie, can you play a little clip from the podcast, please?
Just explain to everyone exactly what it is that you do.
Actually, for the most part, most people know me more as a producer than they do as a DJ. But I started out as a DJ in Harlem. Now I evolved into production, which is kind of what, in my era, that's kind of what the natural progression was. You would be a DJ, and then, you know, you go from being a DJ, because you're the one in control of the sound, to, you know, making your own music. So I produced records for Jay-Z, for Puff, for Pusha T, for, you know, worked with A$AP Ferg, with Joey Badass, worked with Big Pun, Raekwon, like a lot of people. The list is long. Jada.
Yeah, I don't know any of those cats you just named. They sound like they sound like they could be important.
Your motherfuckers are the same toothpaste. That motherfucker teeth right too.
We used to live on the same floor. And he was like my first big bro. He was a real good dude, and he's one of those classic examples, like you guys. Like, you know, you think the bad guys win all the time, but they really don't. He was a good dude, and I'm really happy. And we're gonna connect on some level too, to do some stuff together. And that's another thing that you got to recognize. Like everybody, even on this panel, 5 years from now, and this is the thing I love too. 15 years, 5 years, relationships change. You guys may be heads of the directors of some radio broadcasting or something, and you'd be like, yo, let me put Rudy on, because it's always a situation where you can never burn your bridges, always stay on top, always stay positive. And that dude's been killing the game ever since, you know. And I took my lead from him, because he's always been a good dude, and that was the first example I had, because I didn't have no older brothers, and my dad wasn't around like that. You know what I mean?
Yo, Rudy,
let me ask you this one last. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Kelvin. I want to go.
I'm gonna ask one last question to you, Rudy. I think two moments culturally in entertainment, black entertainment, that changed generations. I think one of them was when young people saw Michael on Motown 25. It birthed a generation of young people that want to be dancers, singers. And I think when they saw Eddie come out at Constitution Hall in that red leather, a bunch of young people said, I want to do that for a living. What was the moment that you said, this is what I want to do as far as being a comedian?
Yo, it's funny you mentioned the Motown 25, right? So my mother used to have us, and y'all remember this. I don't know when this stopped, but kids, we had to go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock on the dot. Like, your mother was like, get out my face. You go to bed, you got to get up for school the next day. So it was right around the time the Motown 25 was going on. And of course, they kept building up. Coming up next, Michael Jackson performs. And we was like, yo, you got to let us stay up. And so my mother was like, she was on that, no, go to bed. So we was in the bedroom. We had the TV with the big back, the little, I told my sister, I was like, fuck that shit, I'm watching Michael Jackson. I plugged it next to my bed. I was under the covers. So my mother, you know how black mothers do. They want to be mean, but then they want to be like a Sour Patch Kid and be nice afterwards, right? So she came in to let us in, and all she could see was this light flickering under the blanket. So unfortunately, I never got a chance to see Mike, except for like later on when they showed the highlights or whatever. But my first time, I just thought I thought I was gonna be a basketball player. I was into Dr. J and stuff like that, and when I saw Eddie Murphy, and now that I'm a comedian, I know what I was seeing because I was so captivated that I was watching it like I was watching a science project. I just couldn't believe this dude was up there talking like that. It never inspired me to be a comic, but it made me inside somewhere. Later on, it festered into all of the beliefs I have, and the reason why I know I'm supposed to be here was the reason why I was looking at it that way. So yeah, absolutely, like that was huge.
Absolutely.
Rudy, real quick, man, we got some good some comments here, man, and I want to see you got some hecklers in here. How do you handle your hecklers and some good jokes in here? Little people making fun of your background. Sammy, can you bring those up, man, real quick? Some of the stuff people saying about his little background.
Yeah.
Oh man, that room looks like a flashback. And we got jokes out here. And my son, it looks like he's sitting in a bootleg Rubik's Cube.
Hey, Rudy, that's Derek's wife and son, bro.
You telling on me, man?
Yo, book Norette.
You supposed to just be monitoring your husband's business and his whereabouts. You just watching this show to make sure his ass is where he say he is.
Oh
no. Listen, handling hecklers, man, is something that I luckily never really have to deal with unless there's somebody who's been drinking too much and they're having too much fun. I rarely get that person that's on there, yo, you corny, blah, blah, blah. You know, except for back in the day, we used to have, I don't know if y'all familiar with Queens like that, but they had this spot called the Owl. Y'all remember the Owl?
Oh my, Rudy, the Owl, my God, bro.
That was one place I took an L.
All about that spot.
Yeah, I took an L, and the dude played me out because it was thugged out, and you're supposed to go in there and get your money and get out. So I'm on stage, and this dude being real disrespectful, and I ain't built like. So I was like, yo, my man, chill, blah, blah, blah. He was like, he had a bottle of champagne, and he went like this, and I swear on everything, I was like, yo, everybody in there laughed like I said the funniest joke ever. Yo, he won that battle because I had to laugh myself. I was like, yo, you got that shit. I was outside like I thought he's gonna pop me in the eye with that cork. This is before I had glasses too, so I was really into my vision. Like, so yeah, that was one heckler. I was like, all right, you got that money. But other than that, yeah, I try to deal with them lightly before I have to have them excused. Because if you're drunk and you're just not trying to be quiet, I kind of got to get you out of here because I want to talk to these people who came to pay to see me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, I swear,
Rudy.
This is the last time I'm doing this shit in here with y'all. Hey, we got to do Zoom. If we did Zoom, I would have a background.
Rudy, I'm telling you, on this show, there's a lot of sex symbol shaming. That's what I get all the time. I'm telling you that right now.
That's messed up, yo. That's messed up.
Yo, Brad said, Sammy, can you bring up Brad's last comment? That's so true.
And the funny part, I'm trying to be professional. Like, they gonna love this shit, right?
Brad said Boston Comedy Club on Sunday nights in the 90s, hosted by some of the funniest people I've ever seen. And I was downstairs taping at the Bag It In, if y'all don't remember that fly.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
That's where all the magic happened. That's where I had like 10 girlfriends.
Rudy,
all on different floors in the hotel.
Yeah.
Hey, Rudy, Nikisha says Schomburg with exclamation mark. Jamie, you can bring that comment. What does that mean?
Yeah. That's where we all lived at, Schomburg. Yeah, Schomburg.
Okay.
So, and so funny, Sean C., who was on the podcast that you just saw, we also came up, I was best friends with the Central Park Five. And the funniest thing is, another thing in life that you learn, like you think your tragedy is something until you see where the path God took you, because we got evicted that very summer before that happened. And I'm telling you, Kevin and Yusuf and we would never, Yusuf especially being Muslim, he would never be hardly out in the park like that. That would have been me because we was running in the park and we would go and we would scare joggers. We wouldn't touch nobody, or most of you get in a fight with somebody from another project because the project be full of everybody, be a summer night. So anyway, all that being said, is like, yo, that's where we come from, and I'm part of the culture that really moved Black America, because that was strong, man. It just let me know that, I got to walk a different way, where most people didn't know. They think the police is really good, or they got those boys to confess to those crimes. and they didn't do it, like how difficult is that for them, for anybody to have you say, yes, I did it, so I can get out of here? That's amazing. So yeah. So we come from that era, and I felt lucky. I felt bad because we got evicted. I thought we was a joke and all this other stuff, and embarrassed. But I dodged a huger bullet than I thought.
Word up.
Because I ain't trying to listen. I ain't trying to look. I thought about going to jail. My best scenario would be an OG in there, like, yo, let me tell you something, young blood. I got your back. You know, you my celly now. So when you go out there on the yard, tell them you know, OG got your back. Because out there they're gonna rape you, and here it's gonna be consensual. What's up?
Rudy, let me ask you this question. You know, you seem to be an anomaly because you seem to be a happy comedian. At least I always believe that most comedians just come from this really dark place. They can make their else laugh, but it seems like comedians, people say, are really depressed. They're really despondent. You just seem to be a person that just seems to love laughter and love life, and it doesn't, you know.
No, I do, but I got my share of challenges and things of that nature, because you can only control what you can. And if you understand, and I'm gonna just tell y'all this, I found, like, I wasn't diagnosed with depression, but when I was young and doing comedy, I used to have an apartment on Fifth Avenue in Harlem, and it was a nice one little studio joint. But I just found myself just sitting there one time and not washing or bathing. Like, I would just go do my shows and come back, and I was like, I was depressed. So early on, mental health was important to me. Like, I kind of figured it out. So even now, as an adult and having children, and my youngest daughter, her mother passed, and we've been going through this difficult time where my daughter, who I've been in her life all 14 of her years, she's 15 now, to all of a sudden there's no communication. She doesn't want to come. Like, so I go through my trials and tribulations. My youngest daughter's mother think I'm the devil and all this other stuff, when I'm just like trying to be a nice guy. So most of what you see now is, you know, I'm being professional. I don't get off of here and go cry somewhere, but at the same time, I do acknowledge that, you know, sometimes it gets sad, because like I talk to my daughter every day, and I haven't spoken to her in the last year. That's the one person I love the most. You know, I love both of my girls, but she's the first love. So it's just tough. So I try to say, yo, listen, time goes by a little faster, so I'm trying to breathe through it, and maybe when it's time to come back into the fold. So that's basically what it is. We all got some stuff we deal with, but for me, it's better for me to work out. It's better for me to smile and have fun, because this does something for me, and I appreciate you guys for having me on. So that's what.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you.
Man. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, Rudy, ain't no check involved in this. You ain't gonna say all that nice shit.
Oh, there's not. My bad.
Otherwise, we had to check. You wouldn't be in this bathroom.
Give me a bigger space.
Or the walls are closing in on you.
Hey, man, I was trying to not have a ceiling fan and some chips in the background. I ain't know, like, I was like,
all right, Rudy, let me ask my fourth last question. So let me say this. So there was news recently that it looks like Chappelle is taking more of an executive role at Netflix. He's getting specials for, I think, Earthquake, and I think maybe one for Darnell.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised by the Darnell one. I know that's his guy, though. But what do you think about that? I would assume it's going to open some more doors for more comics now that maybe some people didn't think should be showcased that will be now.
Yeah, I love the idea of it, because one thing is with Dave, of course, he's a brand, and he also has a lot of influence. And I think those guys like Earthquake and Darnell, especially Darnell, who, you know, have gotten bits and pieces and good roles here and there, or a little something, gets a chance to really sink their teeth into a project that's probably going to be done really right, since Dave is executive producer on it. I learned how to do a special by working with Dave and watching him and learning how the masters actually did it, because there's a formula to it that people don't really understand, but I think it's a perfect way to actually produce a special. So with him at the helm, you're probably gonna see the best you've ever seen Earthquake. You're probably gonna see the best you've ever seen your man Darnell. And you know, they got a thing that they do out there in Yellow Springs, and I ain't gonna tell you I was invited, so I'm just saying, you know, maybe I'm on the list, but no, we go way back, so you never know. So I'm happy that we all are working.
Yeah,
right, cool.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I knew I was gonna bring that Brad. Look at Brad.
He said, I thought Rudy was shooting a Jamiroquai video.
Let me turn the lights off in this bitch. We turn the lights off in here, man. Yeah, what's up, man?
Yo, Rudy, your teeth are fucking white, my nigga.
Oh
man.
God, yeah, you gotta get with those Jamaican strippers. They got good teeth.
Cause they brush your teeth with that African stick.
Yeah. Colgate.
That's it.
Look at jokes. Looking like a real
life.
Yo, listen, the ladies is killing me more than the dudes. What's up, ladies?
Yo, that shit looks like the padded room to me, like for insane sound.
Hey, listen, some of the ladies need the padded room. You come go ahead. Watch your head, boo boo.
Oh man, Rudy, man, we love you, man. No, Rudy, I know you got some dates coming up, man. Jamie, can you sort of fly and Rudy tell us the shows you got going on? And
yeah,
like
Columbia, South Carolina, April 1st.
My second home.
Yeah, we're gonna be out there April Fool's weekend, and then this weekend I'm actually in Arlington, in Dallas, Texas, for the Improv. So that's gonna be great, the 24th through the 27th. And the thing I'm most excited about is just like you were talking about earlier, Kev, like when comics kind of disappeared, the ones that you've seen, and I can't lie, like that's one of the reasons why I like my show so much too. I took an idea of what I wanted from my career, and I got into radio, and I just kind of cherry picked what I wanted to do. But I did one thing that helped me out to this day, that I kept my comedy wits about me, meaning like I never got comfortable with radio. I always thought there was gonna be a trap door, which there actually wound up being, but I felt like I wanted to be a little anonymous at the time and a little bit, make my money and just not be out and about. Well, now this is part of, me going out of town with Bill Bellamy, going out of town with some more. Now I've built back my reputation to where clubs are calling and they're like, yo, we want you to headline. We felt like we had 2 headliners before and everybody love you. They calling in. So now this is starting the journey of me going to do every club and be gone and do more stuff. So now it's changed my trajectory of my career back to being that #1 stand-up dude, and then letting everything fall in this place because I'm much more mature and I understand the business a lot better now too. So, everything works out for everybody the way it's supposed to.
Man.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm happy for you, brother.
I got my man over hit me up and said, yo, you gonna be in Texas? I said, I gotta get him tickets. So my man Tim down there, he said, yo, he needs some tickets, man. So
I got him.
Yeah, that's my good friend, man.
Nah,
he said he cracked no jokes on you tonight.
Good. Thank you.
But check out Rudy Rush is going to be April 1st. To what date again, Rudy?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be at Columbia April 1st and the 2nd. That's April Fool's weekend, so that's a great weekend for couples to get out. Also, I'll be this weekend if you're in Texas, in Dallas. I'll be at the Arlington Improv Thursday through Sunday, so it's gonna be crazy.
And if anybody promoters out there watching, how do they get in touch with you to book you and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can just hit me up at Rudy Rush, and then I'll kind of like give you my management information, and we could set up something. So because yesterday's price is not
this man is back onto a Bill Bellamy, man. He was out there ripping it with some more. That shit was so funny, man. I love my man Rudy Rush, man.
Yeah,
Rudy,
love you
man.
too, D.
Love her, man. Follow Rudy Rush on Instagram too. What's your Instagram, Rudy?
Yo, at Rudy Rush on everything. So even if you're on MySpace and you're over 55, come on, baby. I got something for you. I'll buy you a box of them pretty panties. Yeah.
Little thick ass Depends.
Hey, yo, real talk. I was dating this older lady and she threw him in the trash. I thought she was nasty. I was like, that's filthy. I thought she was a nasty chick. She was like, I got a whole box of them shits. She had the sexy Pampers. I said, I didn't know they came in a thong. God damn.
Hilarious. Oh my god. I mean, fucking laugh. I can't even wrap this part up. Please follow my man Rudy Rush on everything. You check him out when he's in your town. This guy's funny as hell. Walk up to him, he's a nice guy and loves meeting people. So I gotta say, This is my dude. This is my heart. I ain't gonna lie. No homo if y'all want to say that crazy dumb shit. This is my dude. Rudy, I knew you was 20 years old, bro. So they be going on fucking 30 years.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Hey, when D had COVID, y'all, I was calling him every day, and the people I work with, they was like, oh, I called him every day. I was like, yo, I did kind of say it like that. I ain't want to lose my boy, man. I was like, come on, man.
Rudy checked up every day. Where I love you. Oh, no homo shit, but that's funny. But yeah. Listen, man, I love you, bro, man. Take it easy, man. Be safe and check him out, people, when he's in your town. Check him out. It's really funny.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Thank
you.
you,
It's been a pleasure, brother.
Always.
All right, peace, man.
Definitely.
No, I forgot.
All right.
Shit. No, I forgot to ask him. Top five rappers, and I was fucking bad. I forgot about that shit.
Well, pull him back.
Rudy, you back?
Nope, I'm in the bathroom.
Rudy, real quick.
I'm in the bathroom right now, son.
I know we on blue. We're gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep on. So Jamie brought you back. All right. One thing I'll ask you, it was Valentine's Day this past month, man. Did you have a Valentine? What'd you think about Valentine's Day? And for the ones for the side chicks, how you feel about how they valent and all that kind of shit like that?
So check it. I did have a Valentine. I went to my youngest daughter. She actually, you can have lunch with them at school. So I went to her school because her older sister it was her birthday. So they was going to have, they had plans. So I went to her school, surprised her with some flowers. We had lunch at school. But let me tell you something, man. My daughter thinks she's slick because you get to sit on the stage and the cafeteria is like, 3 steps down. So I was like, where you want me to sit? She was like, sit here. So my back is to the cafeteria. So I'm thinking like she just wants some daddy time. And then in between, she go like this. I was like, who you waving at? Oh, that was Jason. I said, you just like your mama with that slick shit. Waving at niggas when I ain't watching. I was like, yo, you think you real slick, kid? No, let me tell you, side chicks, you got to know. This is one thing, and my man Bill Bellaby said it's funny. Like, side chicks got to know their holidays. That's it. If side chicks realized their holidays, they would be a lot better. Valentine's Day ain't for you. Yeah. Birthdays, like Christmas, that ain't for you. You got Groundhog's Day. April Fool's Day, President's Day, you might catch a lick. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
But yeah, just focus on those holidays and you be much better off as a side chick.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man. That's hilarious, man. All right, man, real quick, man. Jamie's get on top 5 rappers, man. You got, man, right now.
Ooh, top 5 rappers. You know what? I like Kendrick, but I'm an old head. So I'm gonna put Kendrick at 5. I'm gonna put your man, I like 50. I'm gonna put 50 at 4. Big Daddy Kane is at my 2. I'm gonna put KRS-One at 3, and probably number 1, Ghostface Killer for me.
All right, that's what's up. I give respect for that, man. But Rudy, that shit was funny. Sorry, man. Jamie, don't kill me. I tried to bring him back. I had my few questions. I forgot. I ain't bring him up. But anyhow, Rudy, this is fine. This is later. No goodbyes. We say later, here, man. All right, man. So all
right, later, fellas.